Good morning, Cosmo. Welcome to the show. It's a new experiment that I'm working on, and today, which happens to be the Earth Day 2020, seemed an opportune and fantastic, date and time to be launching this show. And I would welcome to hear your comments and thoughts as we are going live. You can be commenting, and I'll try and pick up your questions and answer them. And in fact, we will try to bring on some guests from the chats into the screen here with me so that we can discuss for the next half an hour or so a broad range of topics on this day. Uh, the idea of this webinar or showbinar or show, as we are calling, is to promote potshots and moonshots at imagination and for a culture of happiness 2020. I mean, essentially, what we are seeing in these times of crisis, it is indeed quite a crisis. People are, we are kind of looking at various things. We are wondering, essentially, I think one of the key things is that we are wondering as to what is going on all around us and how our lifestyles, our work models, etc., will change. And along with all of this is also the aspect of peace and happiness which is going to come out, or what are we looking at the world of tomorrow. In fact, this is a huge opportunity. What I think, definitely, yes, one, we are facing critical times, we are facing critical questions, all of those matters related to coronavirus, and how governments and society and our frontline workers, health workers, and others, first responders, are kind of working to help out. At the same time, what will come out of this whole, this time would come to an end. All good things come to an end, so maybe all bad things would also come to an end, right? Now, what I'm trying to see is that if anyone is watching this show and commenting, if you comment, I would love to pick up your thought and kind of answer that. And as I'm saying that, I'll also try to bring you on into the live studio here with me on this program, which is Good Morning Cosmos. The idea is to look up at the universe. It's a new beginning, a good morning with the world, with the universe, oneness of humanity and planet and nature, Mother Nature, that we have with us. So that being the context of this programming, and how can we work towards the happiness 2020. And by the way, happiness is not a very vague word, or it is a vague word, but the more I'm working at it, the more I'm realizing it that there is there's a scientific discipline also to the study and practice of happiness. And well, there may not be a formula to happiness. Each one of us will have our own formulae, or will develop, or we already have, but we got to kind of stumble along, bumble along. uh, 2020 being this year, and this year of the virus, this is a milestone, I would say, in our human history. It really is a milestone. Never before in the history of humankind has something or a tsunami of this manner swept across all of the planet, taking all humans. It's something which is touching each and every human being on this planet. Now, if it is touching each and every human being on this planet, it is perhaps, not only perhaps, it really is for the first time for in the history of the modern Homo sapien, I would say, right? Because, well, in the past, maybe there have been some meteors or meteorites which hit the earth, and wherein it affected all of the beings on this earth. But in our memory, or in our let's say modern history, modern being going back several thousands of years, there has never been an episode, incident, and a period of time which has impacted everyone on this planet at the same time. The World War, well, it was still localized. We call it World War One and Two, but they were still localized. They were not kind of reaching, every nook and corner of this planet. The French Revolution could be one. The French Revolution actually came out with, certain philosophies, the idea of liberty, justice, etc., which really did shape the world. But still, there's been never something which so instantly, immediately impacted the way this virus, this one teeny weeny germ, has impacted us all. Okay, now I'm trying to figure out if any of you is wanting to come on or to put your comments here. and I will be taking up your comments and your thoughts as we are going. Yes, 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 yes. Okay. Now, one of the questions which has come in is that why am I kind of naming this show or showbinar as imagination? Okay, understood. Happiness, understood. But why 2020? And the way we are using the term 2020 is 20/20. If you remember, or if you notice, okay, 2020, oftentimes as we say that, eyesight is 2020, that you got a balanced eyesight is good. Or hindsight 2020, that we look back in 2020 hindsight. So in a sense, I think the present time is a time for us all to step back, look at hindsight 2020, and see how and where the world has come, how and where the world is going. Now, how and where the world is going, sure, tomorrow, well, there are several futurists, scholars, policymakers, analysts, and all who are commenting how the world of tomorrow shall turn out to be. Businesses are trying to figure out how to kind of, survive maybe for the short term, but essentially for the long term, how they're going to be impacted. Now, in this whole process of figuring out the future, quote unquote, which is going to unfold, I do think, I believe strongly that we in the present, in the today, have a very, very, very strong opportunity to shape the future which shall emerge tomorrow. Now, by the way, the show which is we are working on is going live right now. Good morning, Cosmo. The topic, the theme of the show is taking pot shots and moonshots. Pot shots being small, taking small aims, taking small efforts, making small efforts towards imagination. That's spot shots. But also moonshots. Moonshots being bold, audacious goals to reach or towards imagination. So it's about developing a sense of pot shots and moonshots for imagination in our personal lives, in our societies, to solve the challenges of our societies, our nations, our communities. And then also moonshots, that is, what can be some big ideas going ahead which can contribute to the public discussion, the public discourse, which could shape how the, I mean, just in Hindi we are saying that oont kis karvat baithta hai, right? In which direction the tomorrow shapes up. Now, therein, one or two, I would like to share, in fact, a couple of moonshots here, big pictures which we should be working towards and looking at. Hello, welcome anyone wanting to come up and ask any questions. You'll be welcome to come up on the screen with me on this chat discussion in the studio. Excuse me. As well as I'll be more than happy, and I am, in fact, to answer your questions or kind of throw in what my 2 cents are. This, as I've mentioned in the flyer, it's mentioned it's a mind walk. We are in a journey. We are on a journey. We are in a journey, on a journey together. We are exploring together. So whatever your thoughts, bring them on. Let us toss. Let us discuss, and let us see how we can, come towards some collective sense, not a consensus as such, but a collective sense or a collective question. In fact, the most important could be, in fact, very often the most important thing is asking the right questions, even if not the right question, asking questions. So that's why, again, I invite you to ask questions or to come forth with your comments and thoughts, which we can develop in this thread. If you are going to be commenting now, you can always comment, but because this will be recorded and be on my timeline, when you put your comments later, you can always please put a hashtag and say record, and then put your comment, so that I know that the comment that you're putting then is when you're seeing the recorded version of this episode rather than the live version of this episode. Now, back to the idea of moonshots. What are some moonshots that we could look at this juncture of history? And this is a historic time. Now, fun moonshot, for example, why do we assume that our lives have to be woven around work, quote unquote, as we understand work, and that there's 7 days to a week and we work 5 days to a week and we have a weekend of 2 days, right? Why is it so? Is it mandated? Where is this common sense or common wisdom coming from? Well, wherever since it's been happening since ages, so we are going along with it. No, as an outcome of experience of this lockdown, and which I'm hearing from a lot of folks, and you are also, and we are all kind of, first we went screaming into this lockdown, screaming, not screaming, maybe complaining, wondering. But over a period of time, I think, apart from the various downsides of this lockdown, I think most of us are coming around to a view that, oh, maybe there is something good in it. Everything is not so bad in such a lockdown situation, right? Not to say that we want a lockdown always, all along. But the point being that, let's look at our conventional idea of work and work life. One big moonshot which we are putting out. In fact, there's a manifesto which we are putting out tonight, which is known as Manifesto 2020. Again, 2020 as in hindsight 2020, and 2020 as in the year 2020. And by the way, today is Earth Day 2020. So, in a sense, a very important, a very significant, symbolic day for us to be launching this showbinar tonight, as well as for us to be launching this Manifesto 2020 tonight. So, one of the moonshots in this manifesto is that let us all converge to an opinion. Can we? All societies, all countries, all nations, all people, or some societies, some nations, or any nation which looks at reordering our work life balance lifestyles. What we are calling in this one moonshot is that every 3 months, fine, we should work as hard, play hard, work hard, party hard, whatever, etc., travel hard, soft light, whatever. 2 weeks of time every quarter should be kept aside as a lockdown time. That is, out of 12 weeks in a quarter, 10 weeks to be time wherein we work hard, play hard, do whatever, travel wherever, journey, adventure, trek, party, concerts, get togethers, conferences, seminars, expositions, galas, etc. Uh, but 2 weeks out of the quarter, complete lockdown. That is, you do all your, engagements and commitments and all, but again come back to 2 weeks of a complete lockdown in the same situation, same with the same conditionalities as of today. So imagine a lifestyle wherein you work 10 weeks with, of course, your weekends, and then 2 weeks complete lockdown. Charge, recharge your batteries, don't charge, don't recharge, just kind of vegetate, excuse me, but you will come out maybe a more interesting, a more valuable, I wouldn't say person, but at least with some other dimensions to your thinking and thoughts. So that's one moonshot we are calling for. 2020, radically rethink the way we work and live, and our work lives are structured around our work areas and our personal areas. Once again, this is the Good Morning Cosmos show. Welcome, and please do keep putting your questions out there so that I can answer or comment or build up upon that. Now, one of the questions which has come up on my chat in my on my other feed is that, okay, so that's one shot. What could be another moonshot? The other moonshot that we are aiming for is actually around the idea of happiness, and why happiness is valuable and useful apart from the idea of happiness for society. I very often am, let's say, an expert panelist on media discussions, be it India, be it in the uh, other world media, press, television, print, etc. And very often we are facing questions of or around terrorism, extremism, and hatred in our societies. Now, this virus of hatred and extremism has really gone deep, and not only gone deep, it's hurting, and it's hurting bad. The question is, how can this virus, how can this, how can this element of extremism, hatred, and terrorism in our societies, in our nations be reduced? The only way to reduce terrorism in the long term, and I'm not saying eliminate, but at least reduce it significantly, is through the minds and hearts, of course, the minds of the children of today. If the children of today grow up in an environment where they see kindness, they see compassion, they practice tolerance, they practice or they respect diversity, they celebrate diversity, differences, without demonizing the other. As much of this as they can learn in their childhood, when they grow up, these adults, excuse me, will be, some of them, or at least most of them, or many of them, will be less liable or less inclined to pick up arms and violence and become extremists and terrorists and kill and hurt others simply because somebody thinks different than you. Okay, so it starts with children. No amount of technology or arms can, it may reduce, it may, press it down, brush it under the carpet, but will not reduce meaningfully in the long term the danger of extremism in our societies, the danger and fear actually also. Say, take an example like, you have violence in a school, right? A kid picks up a gun, goes to a school, kills his classmates or teachers, etc. What do schools do? What do governments do to reduce that risk? Well, they throw more money, they throw more technology, they put more metal detectors, they put CCTV cameras, etc. And they say, okay, we've done our job to reduce the violence. That is only part of the job. The other part which is out there is the mind of the child. Okay, as long as the mind of the child is not nourished, extremism and hatred will flourish. So, as a moonshot, what we are calling upon in 2020 and as part of Manifesto 2020 and as a mission and a vision of this show, which is Good Morning Cosmos, that is saying good morning and being one with the planet and the earth and the universe and the flowers and the trees and the happiness all around there, is that all children all across the world, in all the schools of the world, okay, a footnote, not all children may be in a school. I understand that, so that we can pick up a bit later. So, but assuming all children in all schools of the world, all schools all across the world, right from age 5 till age 15 or till your 10th grade or class 10, should have a course, a curriculum, a syllabus on kindness, compassion, respect for diversity, learnings, games, immersion, etc. The entire syllabus and curriculum should be structured, would be, be agnostic to all religions, but pick up the values which everybody understands. All, there are good values everywhere, etc. Compiled as a course, 1 hour or 2 hour compulsory every week for 10 years of life of that child. When this child grows up, the chances are less number of such children will take to extremist thinking, extremist activities. By the way, there's another very big advantage of this curriculum, this syllabus, this learning, this approach to children education, which is, in today's day and age, one of the biggest problems for children and parents is, by the way, around the idea of bullying. Hey guys, by the way, I am not seeing any, am I missing or am I seeing something? So if you're around, please do raise your hand, wave by, come by, and we shall take up your question, or your, not question, I would say it will be a comment or your suggestion, which will give me a chance to kind of take the train of thought in the direction in which you are wanting to discuss or share. And definitely then I could also bring you onto the screen, into the studio, in terms of our discussion on these topics. So coming back on the show of Good Morning Cosmos, taking a long moonshot approach for happiness in the future or in the post-corona era. So when a curriculum of peace and happiness or woven around those is taught to schools, children will be indulging, hopefully, in less bullying. Children will be less, will take to hatred or disparaging the other a little less. Children will love, of course. We hope and we do, would love. Or rather, the point which I'm trying to put forth is that children would celebrate diversity. Okay, recognize, respect diversity, practice compassion, enjoy being kind. Through these practices, which are age appropriate, for a class one child, which is age 5, what he or she will be learning would be very different than what a class 10 child you will be teaching. Okay, so age appropriate curriculum, which is all out there. And I do think that somebody is probably putting a question out there now. Yes. So again, relating to bullying. Sorry. So age appropriate curriculum for children, which would then reduce bullying in schools, which is a huge concern right now. In fact, in all countries of the world, we are seeing these trends. There are green shoots of such initiatives happening. Schools in Scandinavia, in Denmark, schools in UK, in fact, are picking up studies in mindfulness. Schools in Denmark are picking up studies in empathy. Schools in Delhi, our own Delhi here, New Delhi, are picking up happiness. Schools in the United States actually have a campaign ongoing, which they're calling as Kindness is Cool. So, kindness is cool, and such curriculum would reduce bullying in schools, which is an immediate problem also. And in the long term, such a programming would these children would then grow up to be adults who would be less inclined towards extremism. So that's one fundamental approach towards reduction of extremism and hatred in our societies in the long term. That's a moonshot. Another moonshot is, why do we need to be working all 24 hours, 24 by 7? Yeah, sure, we need to be, we could be, we enjoy it, no doubt, maybe. But sorry, why not? We could look at a lifestyle wherein we work as much as we can in 10 weeks of the quarter, and 2 weeks of the quarter are completely locked down, as in the lockdown that we have in these days of presently that we're running into. uh, Excuse me. So the idea of the show webinar to push imagination towards such initiatives, such discussions, such conversations, such dialogue between you, me, and all of us, or as many as would like join in the conversation and would kind of comment and build it up. And these are conversations which are happening all across the world today. We are all wondering as to what is the world we are heading into, and would there be something different in the tomorrow? What are the skills that we need to succeed in the world of tomorrow? It really is going to be different by all counts, it seems. Okay, we all may be wrong, things may come back absolutely to normal, but I think probability of that is virtually zilch, maybe not even just 1%, that the world of tomorrow, the values, the value systems, the expectations, the assumptions, the way technologies are being used. And by the way, even this show is an example of that. Digital and video will go huge. It will be exploited and used immensely, because I think now we are realizing the power of video, the power of presence from afar. We've had video, we have television and all, but I think it's for the first time that all over the world, so many people are together discovering the power of video from the present, from wherever you are present to the far that you can take it, and having conversations, building around that. So work styles will change, expectations will change, business models will change. The economy is going for a toss or not, we don't know, but going for a toss, it seems. How big a toss, we don't know. At the same time, reflections on the experiences of this lockdown, which all have been there. So I think we'll not be much out of think if I were to say that the world of tomorrow that we are heading into is going to be radically different. The question is, how different, what kind of a different world we want? Do we want to walk into a world without into the world of tomorrow with our eyes wide shut? Or do we want to hold conversations right now? Right now, we hold conversations, have discussions, dialogue, figure out, brainstorm, etc. So that while the world is moving, shifting, we are able to contribute to the shift of the direction where this world of tomorrow moves. So these discussions, these dialogues that we are looking to have, a weekly dialogue around these topics, which would be taking, pot shots, small aims, moonshots, big aims, audacious goals, audacious ideas. Please bring your audacious ideas to the table. Join me in the studio, in the broadcast studio, the digital virtual studio, I mean, okay? And we can have conversations, we can take these discussions forward around a range of topics. So, the key idea, again, coming back, would be to build a culture of happiness, a culture of imagination. What should I be doing? Oh, by the way, it's not necessary that I should be doing anything. I can be absolutely not doing anything, and that itself is amazing, right? But if I have to be doing something, what could I be doing? Realize the fact that I have the energy, I have the power in me. And believe me, guys, right now, from all that I'm seeing around, there is a major disruption going on. Conventional models of many kinds are being disrupted, and I don't mean purely from the point of view that business model of supply chain and economy and pricing and availability of goods or not. I don't mean necessarily that. But what I mean is that established conventions or norms are changing of doing business. For example, like look at the area of, let's say, conferences and conventions. Now, for long, we have been used to conferences and conventions which happen. You get hundreds of people or thousands of people come together to a conference for a 2 day period. Of course, networking is there. And of course, learning about your own industry, etc., is all there. But that's pretty much become a standard format, which has been going on. Right now, in fact, what I'm seeing is that a grounds up swell of community building people are getting together, different by the way, any right now, do send me your questions, ideas, thoughts, the topics on which you want me to speak. We started at 10 o'clock India time. It's now 10:30 India time, and we had slotted a time of 40 minutes for the show. So I'll go on till 10:40. So another 10 minutes I'm live, and any questions are welcome. And in fact, questions are also welcome later on. Questions, suggestions, feedback, anything, everything is welcome. Once we are done with it, because this show will be on my timeline, so you can always go listen to it, agree with some of things, disagree with some of things, give your suggestions, give your ideas, so that we build up a community of thinking, reflecting, and working towards taking steps or ideas or brainstorming, as you say, but rather brain calming. There's another term out there. Why have a storm in the brain? Why not have calmness in the brain? So brain calming around these topics. And if you put your comments down there, I'll come back and write in my 2 cents or 1 cents out there, uh, pertaining to this discussion out there. So the idea being that we can influence the tomorrow. Communities are starting to come up from the scratch now again. Suddenly the world has become flat. Remember Thomas Friedman? The famous book I think he wrote about 10 years ago, the New York Times columnist, The World is Flat, 10 or more years ago. The world now has again become flat. Not again, has become flat. You are sitting in your room with a laptop. You could be doing the same thing which I am doing right now, which is doing a showbinar on creativity, imagination, and leadership. You could be doing on same topics, or you could be doing it on any other topic, or you could be putting together something or a discussion with your friends, family, or even the wider world outside and picking up any topic of your interest, food, recipes, Zen and the art of motorcycle maintenance, for example, right? And build up your communities which are sharing knowledge, communities which are caring for each other, which are connecting with each other. And these communities will be where the innovations, where the disruptions will come from now. So this is a major, major, major time right now. It's the rarest of rare times. Never before in the history of humankind, in the last 5,000, 4,000 years, whatever, ever since man, the modern Homo sapien maybe took shape and started walking. Never before has such a time come as this, that all over the planet everything has come to a standstill. Never before. Everything come to a standstill, and everything inside their caves, assuming 5,000 years ago they were caves. Never before. All the entire this entire planet Earth, never. So it's a very amazing time. It's a critical time, no doubt. There is a lot of pain, sadness, and sadness, I would say, pain associated with what this goddamn virus is doing. But at the same time, it's a time, a rarest opportunity for humankind, for us to reset and change the direction in which we want the future to unfold tomorrow. Come out with your moonshot ideas, come out with your potshot ideas on any aspect of work, life, community, service. I mean, another moonshot. Why should there be hunger in this world or starvation? Right? We've become so numb. We've been living hundreds of years, or whatever, at least our present and the past, and even in the present, we are going around and we just assume that starvation, or a fellow human being, or millions of fellow human beings starving, is the normal. Should that be so? Do we not want a world where there shall be no starvation? No person should go to bed sleeping in the night starving. Is that a moonshot? Well, unfortunately, that is a moonshot, in the sense that that's a big goal, audacious goal. Whereas on the other hand, one would excuse me, it should have been something which should have been absolute common sense always. How could humanity, how could governments, how could you and I be going about our daily routines, whatever we be doing, accumulating maybe some wealth also, living whatever our lifestyles, while excuse me, there are thousands of children and people who go to sleep hungry, who have no food. Can our Happiness 2020 manifesto, can our moonshot audacious goals of where we want our society, our governments, for us all to go, can we contribute to a momentum wherein the world is flat from a different angle? That is, the we are talking about flattening the curve of the coronavirus, right? Okay, flattening the curve of coronavirus is the mantra for all governments and all people and institutions worldwide. Fine, flatten that curve. What about flattening the curve of hunger? Should we not flatten that curve? That should be perhaps an absolute given goal in the world, in the nations, wherever it be. And it's nothing to do with a rich nation or a poor nation. The nation may be rich, but the one human or a soul may be poor, right? So what good is a rich nation if there's a poor soul? Or the nation may be poor, but there may be some rich. But what good is that richness if if there is poverty and pain and starvation and hunger in the country, in the communities around us? That's a moonshot, I think, which is worth it. So, can we today, in these times, push the dialogue, push our leaders towards such discussions that, hey guys, fine, we've flattened the curve of corona, congratulations. Now, let us flatten some other curves. Let us flatten the curve of hunger. That's the number one aspect I would say that we all need to, at least push towards, look towards. Let us flatten the curve of hatred and extremism. And how we do that? We do that through having a required curriculum syllabus in all schools across the world for all children. Again, all children may not be in school, so get all children in schools. Why cannot? Again, a moonshot. All children should be in schools. Why not? Right. So flatten the curve of extremism. Flatten the curve of inequality in education. At least inequality in education in the sense that access to education. Well, there could always be, some children who go to schools which are apparently very good, which will have fantastic infrastructure, but some schools which do not have or have minimal infrastructure. But at least go to schools. And in those schools, be it high class infrastructure or basic frugal infrastructure, if those schools, all of them, have a curriculum, a required curriculum, all through the comes out with this curriculum or syllabus he has studied through all 10 years, which reduces the curve of extremism. As I mentioned earlier, all our technologies, all our militaries, all our smartness, all our intelligence agencies will not be able to eliminate, will not be able to, if not eliminate, but even reduce, uh, you know, uh, the scourge of extremism, which is kind of spreading. And this is spreading pretty bad, actually, also. To counter it, we need to build up the minds of the citizens of tomorrow, flatten those curves. So, flatten the curve of work life balance. Again, why do we keep running? So, the whole idea of that moonshot, that in a quarter, 2 weeks of complete lockdown, the rest 10 weeks of absolute every quarter forever, permanently, right? Let us just change. I mean, was there any mega doctor or the world's top specialist doctor who told someone sometime that human beings have to work 5 days in a week and 2 days of rest? Is there some, is it some god given? I don't know. I don't want to bring god into the picture anytime ever, but is it, what kind of a given is it? If it was that, it was something man-made. It's a practice which is a man-made practice. Why cannot we make it? We make a man-made practice which is different. As simple as that. All it requires is a twist in the way we look at things. So, guys, that being said, we've now reached the end of this first showbinar. It's 10:40 p.m. India time. Today is Earth Day 2020. The Shobinar you were listening to, participating in, suggesting, and walking by, checking by. I saw some folks who came by, waved by, and went along. Fair enough. Thank you so much. Do come again and keep coming. I will inform you the next schedule. As of now, we're looking at a weekly. So this is Wednesday. It'll be every Wednesday night, 10 o'clock. This programming. Would love to have chat with you. Do let me know if you want to come on the screen in the studio with me, so and we could have a discussion. And in fact, we'll be bringing some guests also, uh, for discussions, a few guests, more than one, in fact, at each session, so that we have experts on different topics for deliberating upon some of these topics or any of the new topics that come up, which are contemporary topics or which are suggested by you. I look forward to hearing more from you. And do remember, because I think some of you would be watching this thing on in the recorded version, because we are going to stop going. We are going to end the broadcast now. Sorry, excuse me. So you please feel welcome. Not only feel welcome, you are welcome to leave any comments, any thoughts, any feedback about this shobinar. Any suggestions are very welcome. Any guests are very welcome. Any ideas you want to throw in, that what the topic should be, or you want to suggest any guests we should bring on, we'll be more than happy to do that and take it forward. So, guys, once again, thank you very much wherever in the world you're watching from. Maybe mostly from India or the United States. I think these are the two catchment or friend zone areas that I have: US, India, of course, Japan, Korea, Arab Emirates, of course, and Netherlands, of course, yeah, and the United Kingdom also. But generally, anywhere you are in the world, thank you for joining in or joining in later or watching this. Taking pot shots and moonshots towards your imagination and a culture of happiness with ideas that are simple, basic questioning, so that these questions, the ideas can be even questions, right? Can shape the world of tomorrow into which we are all going to be sliding in. What I would want is that, or you would want, I think, is that we should not end up in the world of tomorrow with our eyes wide shut. Rather, we should contribute to the direction in which the tomorrow unfolds. I have an analogy which I sometimes give, that the fate of nations and human society is like a super tanker. A super tanker in a ship, a Panamax, or a cave, actually, and we call it also, but let's say Panamax. It doesn't change direction quickly. It takes a long time. It slowly changes, right, the direction. Similarly is the trajectory of nations and humanity. It changes slowly, but what we can do is that we can bring interventions when this change is happening. So right now is a moment of change. Right now, this super tanker is turning. We all don't know, and there is no captain to this tanker, actually, by the way, now, right? At this point of time. So this tanker is afloat, it's maybe a bit rudderless. So if at this point of time, more and more, the more and more communities, people, ideas, suggestions, public participation comes and contributes to the direction in which the super tanker will move, the more interesting, peaceful, happier, imaginative tomorrow we shall have. With that, we sign off. Good morning, Cosmos.